Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market. We get set for the U.S. stock market to open up in about 30 minutes from right now, so we'll catch that as it goes live. We already have pre-market trading, obviously, but we'll take a peek at it as it goes live. We'll look over there at the U.S. dollar currency index, or the DXY, and any type of precious metals action that we're seeing with gold and with silver. We'll wrap it all up by taking a look over there at any type of financial news or any type of crypto news as we kick off the halfway point of the week. With it being Wednesday, of course, we'd like to keep it light, tight, and bright. Happy Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my It is Wednesday,
All right, there we go, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in on this fine Wednesday. Let's go ahead and dive on in. Man, that intro gets longer and longer. Like, the whole intro of Markets in the Morning is nearly 2 minutes long. Once we get through the frog and everything like that. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Let's take a look at what's going on out here in the markets. Obviously, we got Bitcoin down here at $91,300, just cruising on down. It's been just fascinating to watch this play out, watch market sentiment, all these different things. Of course, just waiting to see if there's going to be any type of retrace bounce that comes out of this thing. But, you know, for 2025, this has essentially been what we've just kind of tracked the whole time, the expectations of Bitcoin. And as we're in here, you know, of course, you're getting all those things starting to flip. You're getting the 50-week moving average broken and closed beneath. You got the monthly bearish divergences, the weekly bearish divergences. You got the MACD flip over there on the monthly. You're past the 4-year cycle point. You know, you got the DXY rising. You got all these different things, and it's just fascinating to watch it over there on X, and with all the YouTube content and everything like that. It's still just bullish content constantly, and I understand that. I think it's just an unfortunate situation. Everybody got wrong-footed at the top, and it's kind of like, I've tried it, like, as I want to tweet these things, but like, I don't want to become the bad guy on X, but that's just kind of what it is. I think it's just a lot of coping. I think it's a lot of wrong footing, unfortunately. But, you know, I think obviously, you know, I know there's going to be a question coming through here. Somebody asked about altcoins, if they're, you know, do you think there's any chance that they could bounce? I still think that an altcoin thesis at this point, of course, is that there needs to be some type of bounce in here and some type of retrace to come in there. And like, that's kind of the last chance, if that even ends up happening, that would be the last chance for any type of move to come for the altcoins, at least in this cycle, before things get really carried away. The question is, will we end up seeing that? Will end up being more like, you know, 2021, where we really just kind of come all the way back down here and then just stabilize for months. I do think there's going to be a period of stabilization. I don't think it's going to keep going like this for forever, even if it just pauses out like this for 3 months in here, or if it, you know, gives us a nice bounce. I think there's going to be a multi-month period where it's not going to be like this. And, you know, everybody's feeling a lot of pain right now, but I think that pain will subside at some point, maybe. But, you know, it's just reasonable to think that it would bounce, even in the worst case scenarios, best case scenarios, it usually just does. And so I think it probably will eventually come at some point, just where that is. It feels like we're in a zone where it should be happening. Just there isn't any strong evidence of it occurring just yet. But you would think at some point probably should be showing up. At some point. But, you know, of course, we have resembled a lot of the 2021 topping stuff. This has been really exactly like Q4 of 2021. And that is just what it is. Of course, the big theme out there has been Zcash having an absolutely rock star month. I have sold most of my Zcash position. I am eyeing the idea of just completely closing the whole thing out. The majority of my position is closed, but will I exit the final amount of it? I'm strongly considering it in here with where we are at. Of course, as you all know, that thing, thank God, went for the 4.236 extension of the market cap after all those years. But, that I just, part of me wants to hold a little bit more. Part of me wants to say, if this thing rampages goes like $6,000, of course I would want to hold some. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, what do you think's really? I mean, what's more reasonable? I think it's probably time to let it go. Anyway, over here to XRP, right? This thing is still just Oh, by the way, well, here's what we're going to try to do in markets in the morning today. We are legit going to try to make this lightning markets in the morning. I always try to keep this thing at an hour. For the last 5 markets in the mornings, I've completely failed. It's gone anywhere from an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes. So I'm going to try to flash through this thing and get it done as quickly as possible. And if that means it ends in 40 minutes or it ends in 35 minutes or it ends in 55 minutes, so be it. I need to correct the way that I do markets in the morning to get it to a more reasonable time slot, just because I know people can't rewatch things that are an hour and a half long. Nobody has time to flip on. I mean, there's somebody out there who does, but have time to flip on a replay of a live stream that's an hour and a half long. It's unreasonable. So today's markets in the morning is going to be faster. That is going to be the goal. And if that means it's 35 minutes long, then that means it's 35 minutes long. But that's going to be the goal. All right. Anyway, moving over here to XRP, still acting like the post-liquidation. Moving here, still acting like we're beyond the peak. I know somebody has a question that's coming through here. I'll just go ahead and address. First of all, Chieftain Blackbeard came in with 50 memberships before the stream even started, as he does every time. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much, Chieftain Blackbeard. I really appreciate it. But Matt right afterwards had said, hey, BCB, long-time viewer here. I'm wondering if you see Wyckoff accumulation for XRP on the 4-hour chart and price possibly being in the spring phase. I don't see it. Not to say it's there, I just don't see it. This still just looks like the same old stuff of continuing post-liquidation behavior in here. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's more ricocheting up and down in here, but I don't see anything really strong implying to me that this is acting like Wyckoff accumulation. Let me darken this up for you guys just a little bit in here. There you go. It's just kind of been all the little phases in here of still continuing just ranging in here, and not too impressed with the price action in here. You go on X, you get a totally different story. It's just constant bull posting, but I think that's just because that's what rewards engagement over there on X, is to just be posting nonstop bull. But I just don't see it. And so, I think there could be some continued ranging happening in here. But I don't see like a large Wyckoff accumulation presenting itself yet. I think if for any type of Wyckoff accumulation, if you were going to theorize it at all, it would just be that that's the automatic rally, and then that would be your secondary test, and then all of this would be your secondary test in phase B, and then you'd see one more up, and then you'd be looking for a spring or last point of support to come in here, right? Something like that. So I don't see anything yet that would imply to me that that's Wyckoff accumulation. I'm more concerned that it's still just acting like a post-liquidation range, and that it's still going to have more downside to it at this point. So, but again, that doesn't mean it's not going to be like this, right? It's not going to be... Right? A lot of times, too, this is an interesting wick right in here, because this is something that we do see a lot of times will be in ranges for a long time. And then we keep talking about how it's like an emotional roller coaster when you're in a range. At the bottom of the range, there's all the fear, all the worry. At the top of the range, there's all the excitement and the bull posting, right? And all you do is you go back and forth. And I'm sure you've experienced that probably emotionally, but you've also witnessed that with the postings over there on X. It's just... we get up near the highs. This is nothing but bull posting. We come back down to the lows. Oh no, we're doomed all over again. Back up. Oh, we're gonna go to the moon. Oh no, we're doomed. And what is it? It's just a range. So it's just been a ranging context in here. But the interesting thing about these is a lot of times we do see these. We see these going to the upside and to the downside, where you can just kind of be ranging. Then there's like a wick, and then it just fires its way up. But then you could do the same thing too at the end. So these are just, again, ranging behaviors to be aware of. But yeah, no, I don't see anything in here yet to make me super excited about it. I think what we would obviously need to see is at least initially, probably want to see some type of reaction come from Bitcoin. When it comes to XRP, hate it or love it, it is tied to the market. We can play this game all we want until the end of time to pretend it's not, but it is tied to the market. And it's continued to prove that it's tied to the market. So what would you look for, right? You would look for conditions in the market to improve to create a situation that would be positive for XRP. And, I've talked about this in videos. I wrote an entire newsletter, The Face Resides in a Retrace, Hope or Hallucination. This is where the faith has to lie, right? For altcoin behavior and for anything to show up in here is that there has to be some type of move just like that. And that creates that type of conditions that you would be beyond the top of Bitcoin. There is a retracement that forces a Bitcoin dominance fall. And then that's a condition where XRP can perform well. So first things first is we probably need to see evidence of that over there in Bitcoin, because I don't think you're getting it from the XRP price chart. If anything, from the XRP price chart, you're just getting this continued stuff. And if Bitcoin doesn't produce one of these things in here and it does just continue acting more like that, then I don't see it. So that's where you are. And there you go, XRP. Again, even like this, right? Showing how it's been just really the same as 2021, all the behavior. And I think the thing that leaves me pretty concerned too is, we're in an environment where it would be perfect for it to still be the top. And that's due to retail. Because retail is fully trapped right now. And that, again, I try to say these things not to be mean, not to be the evil bear, but just to explain market dynamics, is that retail is fully trapped. And they're desperately looking for some type of bounce to come out or some type of rally because of missing the top right now. And after missing the top, it's been nothing but a straight line down at this point. So they want to be able to get an escape. The thing that concerns me too is that it might not give that. And so I keep kind of saying, I don't want to, there's no conviction, there's no confidence on whether or not we're going to get that. And of course, I sold 50% at the top, but unwilling to put it back in, because if I had full conviction, right? Like if I thought with complete certainty and super strong conviction that we were going to get something like this and the Bitcoin dominance is going to fall into that, I would just blast all my cash back in. But I don't have that full confidence that will occur because we've had this type of scenario happen before, where we just come off the top, you just roll around, and then it just goes on for the next leg. But the thing that concerns me, of course, going back to that, is just Elliott wave theory as well. When you look at it through this lens in here, it's that what happened with the altcoin market from April all the way here through September and October. You look from the top, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 off the top. Then you have a very clear ABC correction that has happened in here. And now we're just back to hovering on top of the base of the B wave. And that, how progressed in here are you? If you don't look at that, it's... Get rid of that to where you can't see that. right? Are we just kind of hovering around in here before the next leg ends up happening and the support level does end up breaking? That, I have to just kind of remain neutral in what I think. And so, like, people asking, do you think it's going to do this? How low do you think it's going to go? Is it going to bounce here? I think I could draw, and I hate it because I talked about this like a month ago, being like, I could draw so many up, down, left, right, A, B starts. And that's the challenge of being in these types of environments, is that there's so many different scenarios and alternatives to happen in here. Being extremely confident on one way or the other, I'm just in a position where I don't really have one and don't want to say things where people are like, you said it was going to do this. We're beyond all the stuff right in here. Now we're all just kind of hoping for a Hail Mary that the altcoins can do something like that. I'm 50% exposed. It's a little bit less than 50 because of the Zcash stuff, but 50% exposed due to seeing how this is going to play out. But if it doesn't resolve itself, then I just don't think it's going to end up coming. I think we're going to end up drifting even lower. And the thing that this chart does for me is it concerns me that it's not going to come. And that's why I'm not willing to put the 50% back in. If it does rally and it does rip and roar, hip hip hooray, well, I've got 50% in, I'll rock and roll with that. But there are some concerns that it will not come. And, things that are still continuing to hum on along here is, the US dollar currency index, or the DXY, still continuing to move on along. Again, you have so many signs in here of that the top is in. And let's go back and we'll look at these things. Right. And I hate to harp on it. Like, I don't want to harp on it because it's so negative. It's so Nancy. But the thing is, I just want people to see the true data, because the influencer incentivization, that's not even a word maybe, but engagement, you guys reward engagement that is bull posting. And you may not know that psychologically that you do that, but you do. And so there's extreme danger for any type of content creator to come on here and present these types of bear scenarios, because what does the crowd do? It goes into full-blown attack. And being in a situation where, if you're a content creator, and I think about this a lot, right? So I'm like, why do the content creators not point to these things? Why do they not talk about the big bearish divergences that have happened? The fact that this thing is rolling over and gaining momentum. Why do they not talk about these things, right? Why? And it's multifaceted. Because you just have to, I can understand it because I'm a content creator, but like, if I put myself in the shoes of other content creators and how they're having it, it's that, one, they're fully wrong-footed at the top, right? And they're selling a pipe dream at the top. And so with it being down, you can't, if you say it's over, then that means two things, right? For the content creator, it means, one, the pipe dream that they sold isn't going to happen. And two, you have to sell down 50% or whatever you are on the altcoins, right? And that would be brand destruction for a content creator at this point right here in time. And so I recognize that it's not that the TA or the content creation is truly being honest. I think it's just that everybody's wrong-footed. Retail's wrong-footed. Content creation is wrong-footed. Everything is wrong-footed. Businesses are wrong-footed. They're not prepared for it. So it's not me coming on here being a negative Nancy. It's that I think you're in a situation where maybe a lot of the information that is being presented out there, you have to put yourself in the shoes of understanding the position they are in. That if they say it's a bear market right here, that is brand destruction. And I don't think a lot of people are in the position where they can do that right now. So, but all the warning signs are there that this is. So, Just letting you know. And I say that because I just still see all the tweets, all the posts, all the everything. Bull posting is still the most rewarded thing out there on X. And you can look at the viewership, right? We got 1,800 people in here. People don't want to hear this stuff, right, man? They want to go hear bull posting, and I understand. But I'm just gonna kind of keep doing it. I love you. But that's just kind of where we are. And so my bigger concern, of course, is that eventually this is going to end up coming in here at some point, and that would pretty much seal the deal. So I think the bull posting would pretty much have to come to a conclusion at that point if that does end up resolving itself and playing itself out. Again, I'm not cheering for it. It's not like I'm fully in cash and positioned for something like that to happen, but I am protected somewhat, right? But that's the concern that I have at this time, and I just don't think the TA or the content creation is being honest right now. But I understand why, and I think it's just due to a position that everybody's in. Because as a content creator, how do you flip right now? I think about that. Like, I try to put myself in their shoes, and I say, how do you flip right now? Right? I mean, look at that monthly. I mean, this whole thing. Right? This whole range. It's got a massive monthly divergence on it. How do you flip right now if you're a content creator in this position? And it would be brand destruction to do it. And that's why I don't think it's happening. That's what I think. How do I know that? Well, because I did the flip at the top, and at the top doing it, it was like brand destruction at the time. But fortunately, it ended up being correct. But you got to witness what happens with the crowd towards the content creator when they do it, and that was at the top. What would happen to them doing it now? And I think about that, and I think that's massively influencing the analysis that's actually being presented out there. Because very simple. This is the most basic TA you can do. We're not complicating things. We're not making it hard to understand. We're doing the most simple things you can possibly do with TA. And they all show these concerning signs in here. But that's not the picture being painted over there in X. So I feel like I have to keep repeating myself because I share a lot of viewers and subscribers with a lot of everybody. I'm not the only person that you watch. You watch a lot of different people, and you're getting mixed messaging. And I don't know how people are overcoming that. I think they just have to say it doesn't matter, and I think that's what is happening. So anyway, we'll move on from that talk. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, and I'm supposed to be making this live stream faster, and I'm already at 23 minutes and failing miserably. All right, XRP, yeah, still not a whole lot to see here. I still think the range could continue. And here's the worst part too. I won't be able to predict the day that the range comes to an end. Just so you do know, whatever day it ends up happening, I do know that I'm not going to be able to be like, okay, 48 hours until the range comes to an end and we're breaking up or we're breaking down. I want you to know I'm not going to be able to do that. So don't have that expectation on me. But the range is pretty developed, so I think it's probably within the next couple of weeks, it's probably going to end up resolving itself. These are just concerns in here. Okay. All right. We got to turn this ship around. We're pretty negative Nancy in here. All right. As we get ready for pre-market to open up, you got stocks up just slightly. You got the Russell up about 0.5%. Is it open yet? No, it's opening in 6 minutes. You got the NASDAQ up 0.18%, the S&P up 0.09%. Yesterday was kind of a crazy day over there. You had the S&P down 0.83, the Dow down 1.07, the NASDAQ down 1.2. Dollars up Still just traversing along this stuff like it is bottoming. We need to see, again, things you need to see to like change the whole picture in there, right? What do you need to see? You need to see this dollar go kerplunk and set a new low. You need to see the Russell set a new all-time high. You probably need to see gold continue to fall and kerplunking on it. But all those warning signs that were there back in late September and early October, they are manifesting themselves still to this day. But just know it is so unlikely, right? You know, we're talking from the guy who did Bear Week. It is so unlikely that this thing just keeps going down like that. It is just way more likely that it finds some type of support and just does some type of ranging for some time and does not go straight line down. Just so you get that. So we're real clear on that. Okay. There you go. Silver, slightly up today, up about $1, back at 51.64. Gold sitting there at $4,100. And nothing to say about this. They've just both have kind of paused, but you could see where this pausing is happening at. We are in all-time highs over in here. Moving on over to any type of news going on in the world. Target cuts profit outlook as shoppers look for deals, make fewer store trips. Mortgage rates hit highest level in a month, pushing loan demand down 5%. BlackRock leads near 3 billion Bitcoin November ETF exodus with record $523 million outflows. I do believe it's just if price is going down, there's outflows. That's just simple. Why? People are selling, so price goes down. Well, if they're selling, then BlackRock stuck holding the Bitcoin. So what do they have to do? They have to move it along. Ethereum falls into the buy zone, but volatility-averse traders take a wait-and-see approach. Senator Tim Scott pushes for December vote on crypto market bill. Crypto carnage as Bitcoin's four-year cycle over trade secrets. And that is what's interesting, too, is you go through an entire bear market and you hear four-year cycles. I'm not, from all the content creators, I'm not going to miss the top when we hit the 4 years. We hit 4 years, I'm selling. We're not only we're past 4 years in every way. And what was the exact thing that happened at 2021? Extended cycles. We're going to go longer than 4 years, blah, blah, blah. Right? We're doing the exact same thing here. And I can't believe I'm witnessing it. I can't believe it. We're going longer than 4 years. Like, I don't care. That's fine. If that ends up being the case, but it's fine. It's fascinating to watch the behavior. Because it was the exact same behavior in 2021. All right, institutions lean into crypto despite Bitcoin price slump. Republic raises $100 million for Ethereum purchases under unusual zero-interest deal. Bitcoin sinks under 90K. Bitmine, Bitwise executives tip bottom this week. Man, that was crazy. I saw Cameron Winklevoss post, this is the last chance that you'll have to buy Bitcoin under $90,000. I couldn't believe he posted that. That's something I could never post. And that's the CEO of an exchange. I can't believe that. All right, Ethereum falls to 4-month low under 3K. Is the bull market over? Figment open trade debut Solana-based stablecoin product targeting 15% APR. Cloudflare outage hits multiple crypto websites, social media channels. All right, so this is interesting, right? Like, I mean, I do think Bitcoin's eventually going to bounce, right? I just don't think it's going to go down in a straight line forever. But look at the newswire. It's kind of interesting. Normally, we kind of make fun of it, where there's always like two news headlines that are like, we're going to the moon. And then there's two news headlines saying we're gloom and doom. And they kind of do both of them to try to get the clicks for either side. Notice there's no we're going to the moon. It's only gloom and doom. So that must be what people are all clicking on, right? Everybody is on one side right now, gloom and doom. Anyway. All right. Anyway, in 3 weeks, we've got a Fed rate decision. Market is split on what the Fed is going to end up doing. Same goes with the 2-month yield. It has still not gone down to where it should be for the last rate cut. It's still at 3.85% rather than 3.75%. So the yields are not telling you, but you have plenty of time. There's still 3 weeks until that decision ends up happening. And we shall get a C. We shall get a C. All right. We'll go back here. There you have it. All right. That's just where we're at, right? I think we're all just kind of waiting at this point now to say, do we see a support come in for Bitcoin? And does it provide a retrace rally? And will there be any response from the altcoin market in that type of environment? And it's all just kind of a wait and see right now. Now we can just kind of keep picking supports and just keep chopping through them until finally it's going to find some type of support. But it's just a waiting game right now. All right. There you have it. Let's go ahead and dive on into the chat. Chief Tane, again, my brother, thank you very, very much. Matt, I think I answered your question in there. Jasim, hey BCB, it's Jasim. If we're in a bear market and Bitcoin drops 70, 80% in a bear market, what happens to alts like DOT, AVAX, ADA, Link that never ran? Do they go to zero, or does Bitcoin need a retrace for them to pump before a crash? You would think if you just go, so I really try to remove a lot of the speculation of anything except try to stick to how does the market typically behave, right? And so if you're looking for any type of chance, right, and we go based on all historical behavior, what do you need? You need to see a retrace. You need to see a Bitcoin dominance fall happen into that retrace, and that's really their last shot, at least for now. Going to zero, nothing is going to go to zero, but could they go lower? Yeah. Some coins, it's been a fascinating market because you have some things that have done really well, right? Like XRP hitting its high, Ethereum hitting its high, Binance Coin, Tron, right? All these get back up to their highs. And then you have mid-pack stuff that was like Cardano, Chainlink, Stellar Lumens. What other ones? There's several of them that were mid-pack. And then you have all these other ones that were just dead the whole time and stayed down at the very lows. So very widespread market. And so that's a different dynamic than even from 2021, right? In 2021, we talked about how only 20% hit their all-time highs. Speculated there would probably even be less this time. I haven't done the numbers yet to see where we at in regards to what percentage of the top 100 ended up hitting their all-time highs. But it's going to be less. For sure, it's going to be less. But so wild to see how many just didn't even catch that mid-sized bid. And a lot of those that you mentioned are those ones that didn't catch those mid-sized. Well, Chainlink and Cardano did, but AVAX and Polkadot did not, right? This is really, based on historical precedent set by the market, this would be the last chance, right? Barring that it's not all wrong and Bitcoin doesn't go flying off into a new all-time high, right? Of course, that would be a very different scenario. But if we're looking at it through this lens of this being the top for Bitcoin, that would be really your last shot. Nandinina Holmes. Hey BCB, what do you think the bottom number will be? What do you think the bottom number will be if this is a bear market for XRP and Bitcoin? And what would your prediction be as to when you think the bottom might hit time-wise? Cheers. Been watching since 2019. Thank you very much for the super chat. And Justin, thank you very much, guys. These are very generous super chats. I appreciate it. I'm not ready to be guessing on bottoms and timing for bottoms and things like that. Again, that's a when doom question. So we always get the when moon, and now we're moving on to the when doom. I don't have a time table, right? And like the thing is, like this whole thing has been like, well, we're going there, right? And it's been like, no. But anyway, and that's not unreasonable. I mean, that's what a whole bear market looks like. And it's funny to watch that over there on X. We can go down here and everything will structurally be fine. Yeah, that's a bear market. That's a bear market. But, you can also see in there, look at that. Right? You could just waddle around in here, and I don't know how long that'll take. I don't know if you can do something like that, and then it's got to wait until there to get to there, or if it's even going to look like that. I don't know. Like this has been like just the thought process. Man, it'll probably look something like this. Here's the issue. What's it look like? This was a distribution structure. That was an up thrust after distribution rather than like a parabola. Instead, it just gave the wham straight up and then wham straight back down. And so will it behave exactly like that? Will the timing of it all look like that? I don't know. The interesting thing about it, of course, is that it does top exactly at the 4-year cycle time. I think it was off by a day or two, which would imply that, this thing will keep going down for months, if not months, almost a year, right? And the thing about those things is that you can just range for a long time before those things happen. And it doesn't all have to happen in a straight line down. We just happen to be in one of the moments right now where things are pretty aggressive, and they don't typically stay like that. We typically have to draw the crowd back in. I know you guys hate hearing that, but you typically do. And that's, for those who watched for a very long time, what are the things we always talked about? We talked about when you're in a correction in a bull market, everybody gets scared out, right? But then when you get to the other side of it and you're in the first initial corrective wave, what happens? The crowd buys the dip. That is what we are seeing. At least my experience of looking over there at social media is that bear posting is unfavorable, still continuing bull posting. Whereas when you bull post in environments like this, you're just chastised the whole time. And now in here, it's because everybody's trapped and wrong-footed from being max long up here that the bull posting is the rewarding. So we're in that environment. That's what sucks. That the crowd is like that right now. But otherwise, I'd entertain it more. Maybe I'm wrong. Everything I still keep seeing tells me that was the top for Bitcoin. But I think the minimum number that it goes down to is about 69K. I think that's bare minimum. And I think it could come. I think it's a whole range in here. I think if you looked at it from like the market cap perspective, oh yeah, I still have this there. I think if you look at it from the market cap, we still have all this stuff. We'll just take it all off. Goodbye. It's another 28% from current prices. Which is closer to 65. But, I mean, I'm ready to buy Bitcoin at 69K. I'll buy some Bitcoin and then just accumulate. I just don't think we're going to get there soon. I just don't think this is coming anytime soon. I think we're going to, just to even show you other examples, like outside of this one, right? You could just be like this. Right, that, and then it takes that to get there. Right, very, very difficult to predict how it's going to end up getting there. But even that's a reasonable journey on how it could get there. And so even in that circumstance, what are you looking for? Right, the retrace. So. Again, I just don't think it's going to go straight line there. I think it's going to take a long time. I think it could be something like that, if not something like that, right, to get there. And hopefully, of course, for everybody's sake, not something like this, right? But we'll have to see. And as for predicting number, Bitcoin, I'm okay with it. XRP, think like this is the current area of interest. XRP, it's just totally going to depend on when Bitcoin does that. If Bitcoin goes and slams into the $69,000 area, and if XRP is still holding this whole $1.60 area, then that may just be it. XRP may just stay ranging. This is obviously our worst case scenario, in my opinion, is that it ends up being more along the lines of that, and that just ends up being the case. If that ends up happening, you could see sub-dollar, and that would be really difficult because in this environment of going sub-dollar, then how do we ever set new all-time highs again? All right. That's the scary thing. So, what I'm hoping for, is that, it does still sustain these levels when Bitcoin goes and hits 69K. That's what I'm hoping for. And if that ends up holding, then we still have a path to go much higher and try to pull Zcash and hit that 4.236 extension of that market cap. It goes ahead and proves it here that it can happen, right? This is what we talked about for years. Here you go, the one that you get all the crap for. It goes and does it, and it hits the 4.236 extension of the market cap. Why XRP isn't doing it, I don't know. But will it have to take that type of journey to get there? Maybe. But that would still, again, would be my max target. But I think everything is going to kind of require patience, at least from me right now, that I just think it's what happens when Bitcoin gets into those 60s, and where will XRP be at that time? And I can't reasonably predict it right now with any level of confidence, because we just have to wait to see how the market reacts. Is this just going to pull one of these things? Like we see all the time. We see that all the time in the market. Ondo is doing that right now. Or will it be able to sustain those lows? And if it sustains the lows, then we set ourselves up for a much better picture. But if it can't hold them, then it sets us up for a pretty rough one. And there's two big differences, right? One of them is that you're just maintaining that $1.50 floor, and then you're all good. The other one is if you break through that, you set up a potential journey all the way back down to these levels. And I don't think anybody wants that, right? So we got to hold that. Okay, we're at 41 minutes, and I'm going to start moving lightning fast. I forgot that I'm supposed to be moving fast. I'm over here giving full explanations. Okay. Andreas, do you think USDT will be more stable this bear market with depeg risk? If it depegs, could we buy USD when down and wait until it's back to $1 and make a profit? I'm not touching that question with a 10-foot pole. Thank you for the super chat. Matthew Patterson says, "Thank you. I appreciate all that you do." Thank you very much. The freak fish is, how do you foresee the Dow Jones Industrial Average responding? I think it'll go down. The sports boys, thank you very much. You're a legend. I listen daily. Do you read anything that percentage drawdowns for Bitcoin versus ETH at top alts are nearly the same? Typically, drawdown for alts seem much deeper. So I went through a whole thing on that in the newsletter series on percentage drawdowns that during a bear, and that'll be something I'm watching in the future too. Is that once again that segment was the best performing. Watching the ones that have it. Yes, most altcoins have significant drawdowns, but things that did not have massively significant drawdowns during the 2021 bear were XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tron, Binance Coin. What do all those things have in common? They all touch new all-time highs. So keeping an eye on that and measuring the percentage drawdowns during a bear would probably be pretty important. Thank you very much. Rick Doppenberg. Hey, BCB, I've been watching your content for a couple of years now, and I'm finally stepping out of the shadows to thank you for all the wisdom. P.S. Can I get your short-term take on the U.S. indexes? Short-term take? Well, if you would think they're going to get a little bit of a bounce right here if Bitcoin's going to get a bounce. If they're not, I think they're just going to go down. I think everything is going to go down together, but trying to guess individual waves on these is going to prove to be very challenging, which I'm not really willing to do. But I think the overall theme is topping behavior. AE, can't the market go up or sideways while the RSI goes from overbought down to oversold? Can't the market go up or... Hold on one second. All right, can't the market go up or sideways while the RSI goes from overbought down to oversold? Yeah, it can gradually trend, sure. That's a bearish divergence. But then it eventually lets go. Mount Geifel, in retro, it was better to hold Bitcoin than alts. In retro, it was better to hold Bitcoin over some alts, but holding some alts over Bitcoin was the better. Actually, XRP actually beat Bitcoin, guys. Believe it or not. For the last 5 years and for this entire cycle, XRP was the better buy. Christine, years ago in 2021, the Zcash 4.236 was in the 2000 range. How and when did the 4.236 exchange to 700? Inflation. When you go years of inflation, nothing changes with the market cap. That's why even the discussions on XRP was always like $10, then it like turned to $9, then it turned to $8 because inflation doesn't change where the market cap goes to. But the total supply divided by the market cap reduces the per coin average. And so that's how you got there, right? Nothing changes in regards to the market cap. Still, it's the 4.236 extension. The thing that changes is the dollar value due to supply. Mr. Nobody Music, assuming there's an alt season, do you think it's better after getting just under the liquidation work, or was the liquidation only wave 1 on total 2 ES? Yeah. I would think, right, if it's going to hold, we're kind of at the area where it should hold. I do think we're kind of there already. Just specifically on these things, I think we're probably already there. My concern is it's not going to. So I'm just sitting put and just going to kind of wait and see. I'm not putting money in. The only money I'm taking out has been Zcash. And otherwise, I'm just staying put. But I'm nervous to even say, like where you're saying, do you think it'd be better after getting just under the liquidation wick? As in you're talking about buying. This is a concerning environment to be a buyer in. And I'll just leave it at that. Mr. Nobody Music, assuming there's an alt season. That's what I just did. Sorry, bro. Thank you very much, Mr. Nobody. I feel like you changed your name to adding music. Alan, how did you get into trading? Do you read books about charts and trading? Are there any recommendations? I'm going to make this really fast because I'm running low on time already. No, with anything I've done, I typically get extremely hyper-focused on things and commit a tremendous amount of time to them, and it doesn't feel like work to me. It's something that I just become obsessed with. I've done that with school. I've done that with businesses, and I did that with all of this. There was no like formal training that was put into it or formal books that were put into it. It was really just a lot of time spent doing this, and it became a point where I was spending so much time doing it. Why not just talk about it on YouTube? It wasn't like it was going to add. It wasn't like I wasn't going to be doing it anyway. Yeah, no, just a lot of time, and it was something I enjoyed. I've taken IQ tests before, and if you've ever taken an IQ test, I do score in the top 98%. But if you know anything about IQ scores, they're not like asking, like if you gave me, okay, let me back up real quick. When I was in high school to get into college, you have to take the SAT test. And there's two different parts to the SAT test. There's the math section, and then there's like the written language arts, English section. the highest you can score in either one is an 800. You get 800 in math and you get 800 in English and verbal, whatever. We're about to tell you my scores. I had to take the SAT 3 times. The 3 times that I took it, I got a 780, 790, and a 790 on the math, nearly perfect scores. But I had to keep retaking the SAT because to get into the college that I wanted to get into, I had to have a minimum requirement that you score 500 on the English, on the writing. And I kept scoring 480s, 490s. I couldn't get it. And I probably understand that because I can't even explain what that test is. But like when you take an IQ test, it's all pattern recognition. And so it's trying to identify patterns, what fits, what doesn't fit, and what belongs and what doesn't belong. And this was just something I naturally gravitated to and was good at and spent a lot of time doing. And so that's just what drew me to it. Sitting down and reading a book, as you could probably see, wouldn't be a thing I would do. But spending a lot of time in it, trying to solve it, was what I did do. And so it was really like any job. The more time you put into it, the better you are at it. And that goes for anything, right? It's not like I'm a wizard. No, I'm just kidding. But it's that I spend a lot of time doing it. And like, electrician work around the house terrifies me. I don't do it. I don't know anything about it, but electrician's going to be really good at it and know all the answers to it because it's what he does all the time. And I'm always very impressed. I'm like, this is amazing. You're a wizard. It's incredible. But it's just because he spends so much time doing it, he knows everything about it. And I think that's kind of just where we're at. No, I got to keep moving. Carlos Fernandez, do you think XRP can get back to $250 in retracement? I think it's possible. XP market for 31 months. Thank you very much. Happy birthday. Thank you. XXZZ, doesn't it feel off to be in a bear market when Bitcoin is 30% away from both its current all-time high and the last cycle's all-time high, just 1 month after seeing the current one? No, it doesn't feel off. It doesn't feel off. So the thing is that you have to understand every top and every bottom the crowd gets wrong-footed. We know that, right? We know that. That's not new. And so is the crowd fully wrong-footed right now? Yes. Millman says, when did euphoria happen? Euphoria happened in November of 2024. Just like we saw in the last cycle. So I tried to explain this to you guys in the thick of the moment. It was like this. Your post-election breakout happens here at the end of the year. All the euphoria happens in here. Some altcoins set new highs. 90% of them do not. And so that's what we had happen in here. Your euphoria was back in late 2024. And then 90% of the coins don't set a new high. But XRP was the one that did. Right? That's your parallel. And so those are the things that were being screamed about in September and in October before the liquidation happened. And the thing is just a lot of people just won't refuse. And you can see it with content too. Like content creators do not want to share my stuff anymore. They used to cover me all the time, but they can't do it now. And man, it's whatever, dude. It doesn't matter to me. But it's interesting. They won't say my name. Mr. Nobody, when alt season occurs during Bitcoin retrace, is it during Bitcoin's wave 2 counting down or after Bitcoin has bottomed and does a true ABC? So typically it's in an ABC wave 2. The thing I talked about, I believe it was on Monday's video, the thing that's concerning about it, right, is that you usually are in an environment where it happens relatively quickly. Right? There's a lot of euphoria in Bitcoin. There's a lot of euphoria in the market. And then it all kind of rolls into this 30 to 45 day period. And then we go right into a alt season right within it, right? It's all still the same flow of euphoria. It feels weird that there's no euphoria. The market's beat up, right? There's no excitement. There's no everything. And that we're just going to straight up go into a euphoria alt season. It seems bizarre that it would happen. So that's a problem I do have, is that when you go back to what was May of 2021 like, what was December of 2017 and January of 2018, like it was all still flowing, right? The news cycle's still going, the excitement there, the retail crowd pouring in, the irrational exuberance, the extreme risk taking was all still there. But right now it's gone, right? And so you're kind of asking it to magically show back up. And that's a concern I do have on how that's going to happen. But yes, it's usually in the first 5 waves down, wave 2. Tattooed Bandit, hey BCB, do you consider BITI or SETH when analyzing future macro trends in the market? Thanks and God bless. No, these are just ETFs of the actual coins. So I don't, right, they're just going to take a cut in a share. I don't pay too much attention to them. If I'm looking for something, it's going to be on the actual coins. Those are just products you can do to, short and long them. Johnny, falling Bitcoin dominance doesn't mean alt season. It can just mean money moving to stable coins. UST.D shows a triple bottom on the W, and USDC looks ready. Dominance looks ready to rise. Would love to hear your opinion. Correct. Theoretically, the only thing it means is that the complete market cap of the altcoin market does not fall as significant, or just outperforms Bitcoin. So if the entire altcoin market lost 15%, but Bitcoin lost 30%, then what would happen? Bitcoin dominance would still fall because Bitcoin is falling harder than the altcoin market. However, when we look through the historical behavior of Bitcoin dominance, while that theoretically is true, there's no examples of it being like that. You know what I mean? So yes, I've brought that argument up before, and that is simple math to say that, right? But there's no examples of that behavior ever happening. The massive falls that come in the Bitcoin dominance are always in euphoric moments in the market, not when the market is shrinking, but stablecoin growth is happening. Your argument is correct. Your argument is theoretically correct, but we don't have the examples of that. Bassem El Kadri, hey BCB, what are the strong coins from the 20 coin portfolio that can at least retrace when Bitcoin retrace at all? You'd think everything. It doesn't matter. You'd think everything would have a chance at retracing. Rise, is it possible we could see a fall Bitcoin dominance because there's rumors? Same as I don't want to touch this stuff. I'm not going to touch those questions. Pew Pew, what point will you pull the rest of 50% out? I'm never going to pull 50% out. It's only going to be whether I'm going to get from 50 to 65. That's it. This would be the easy environment for me to do it, right? Otherwise, I'm kind of like everybody else. I'm just kind of sitting and waiting. I need something very clear where I feel that if I get it out, I can have some rules to at least be able to re-enter it without devastation. But if your expectation is for me to remove the remaining 50%, you haven't listened, that's not going to happen, right? Being at 50% is the majority of my exit. It's just 15% more. And I'd have to get something real clean. And I don't know what that will look like at this time. Of course, that would be real easy for me, but I don't have it yet. JB Estrada, deeply grateful for your insight and steady leadership. Thankful to the Lord for you, praying favor and blessings over you this holiday season, JB. Thank you. XRP Bandit, I don't think you can make a markets in the morning less than an hour. Also, I'm 50%, I'm 75% out. I don't know if I can. Oh my gosh, okay. Robert Barker, member for 30 months. Hey, BCB, if you're potentially buying Bitcoin at 70K-ish, what are your thoughts on what it could potentially go to make it worth buying at those levels? Probably close to 200, right? but we'll just have to see. Y'all need to chill out. That's why I don't want to even talk about numbers right now, because we're not in that environment. Things could change. We're going to wait till we get there to see what that looks like. Jamie Hernandez. I don't want you guys predict. That's a when moon. That's how high is Bitcoin going to go. That's moon predictions. We're not doing that right now. I'm just going to say it's going to zero. How about that? Jamie Hernandez, when is Goblin Town merch? Is it coming? Well, I didn't create the Goblin Town thing, so I can't take credit for that. That was a popular thing in 2022. XXZZ, don't you think also that people don't talk about TA because most people don't believe in it, aka astronomy for men? No, when you look at the TA, that you see people dismissing what they know is there, even the TA accounts. Which tells you it's not real. They're not really doing TA. They're pretending to do TA, but selling a line of hopium. Braveheart McFreedom, institutional suppression to trick retail to sell. Yeah, it's just bullish selling. The whales are accumulating. they're refueling the rocket ships. Thank you. AS, hey BCB, thank you for the content. Any opinions on the hidden bullish RSI divergence on the 1 week time frame, referring to the April 7th low? No, I do not. There's no hidden bullish divergence. I don't know where you see that. That's a bearish divergence. That is a bearish divergence on the weekly. Thank you for the super chat. JJ for Pope. Tried your unbiased chart trick. Can you see 7-wave crashing structure on Bitcoin weekly when viewed inverse? Would love to look for wave B. Wave 6 to bounce before flushing to 70K level. Yeah, I mean, that would be the idea of it too. I'm sorry, I have to move a lot faster. I understand your question. Yeah. All right, Mr. Wilson, it's weird too. This isn't me just trying to have copium, but man, you and my ex's timeline are so different. For me, it's all gloom, even for creators. It wasn't when you called it, but it is now. One thing to do is also make sure that you're looking at your For You tab. Your For You tab is going to be a lot different than, or like your Following tab, right? Your Following tab is going to be a lot less bearish with your set of content creators. Your For You tab is going to be very bearish. So I think that's just the algo feeding that because people are gravitating to it. But your Following tab is going to be a lot different. Rick Burns, no bull market case at all, no indicators at all pointing to a bull market considering the chart does not line up 100%, still 50%. And you can look at all these things all you want. Like you can create, like if this, then that, right? That's the easiest thing to always do. If Bitcoin breaks 50-week moving average, then bear market. If MACD turns red and crosses, then bear market. Right. So again, we have more things, right? Go back to September and October and all the things that we had. Now we can stack on a whole new laundry list, right? If MicroStrategy sets new low and sets bearish divergence, then bear market, right? So go back and reflect all the things from late September and early October. Now stack on the whole new laundry list on top of it. It just doesn't look favorable. But I don't think we're going to go in a straight line down. I do think there's going to be a lot of bouncing and a lot of drawing the crowd back in. And understanding that every time we're down, the crowd's going to be beat up. Every time we're up, the crowd's going to be saying new bull market. And that's just going to be how it's going to go for a while. Otherwise, I'm at an hour and 2 minutes. I've totally failed, and I'm supposed to make it shorter. But this is the best I've done in weeks. So we're going to take it from here. All right. Check out the newsletter, blockchainbacker.substack.com. Most recent one has a 30-minute audio recording. Have yourselves a wonderful Wednesday. I'll give you the frog.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, dudes.
All right, that's it. All right, somebody said I skipped Rick Burns. I swear I remember saying the name Rick Burns. Oh, no bull market case at all. No indicator. Okay, I just got that one. I just did that one. All right. BTW, what are you doing? All right, guys, thank you all so much. AF11 says, I hate trading, prefer to hold, but sometimes I need to be real and leave greed aside. How long are you willing to hold 30-50% of your XRP, or is the $7 target dead? Do you think it will ever reach this? Dream is dead. I need more development to happen on the charts for me to have anything right now. You guys can all see where we're at right now. I think this thing will bounce eventually. It's just, what is the market reaction going to look like when that does happen? So we're just going to be in a waiting environment. By the way, guys, I will be off next week. There may be a video on Monday. Next week is Thanksgiving, right? There won't be a Markets in the Morning next week. So prepare for that. That's the day before Thanksgiving. I always take time off at Thanksgiving. These markets will still be here. Don't worry. We'll be back. We'll cover them. But don't expect much out of next week. There might be a video on Monday, but don't expect much more. Otherwise, you'll still catch me the rest of this week. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream. We got 587 likes. All you do is close the chat, hit the like, come back to the chat. Otherwise, if we just don't like the markets in the mornings, man, we'll just, I don't know, we discontinue them. I don't know. Hit the like button. Thank you all so much for watching. Okay, let me just do this whole thing all over again. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.